What's up, everybody? Hello, and welcome back to some more EU5 as the Grand Republic of Greenland. First recording of 2026 here. I've not picked up this save game in quite some time, probably a month because I've been so busy for the holidays, but we need to get this Let's Play finished and see how large we can make the Grand Republic of Greenland here, who still can't nation form. There's been a couple updates, but we don't have anything uh, gr- groundbreaking here. Just really gonna be playing tall, I think. I don't want to do too much war. I'm looking at what past me has done, and I see I've automated damn near everything here as far as like building of the armies and things. So the only thing we're really doing is our own diplomatic stuff, the cabinets and the research, and everything else is being automated here. So curious to see how large of a nation we can build. Our limiting factor here is going to be pop. That seems to be the only thing that we can. I know we touched upon it a lot here, but that's the only thing that's really keeping us from becoming a number one great power. Our income probably does actually exceed. Let me see. It was diplomacy here. You can see. So if we look at the diplomatic money wise, our total income we'd be right around France here. Uh, Regulars, we don't have a ton of them. We could build more regulars. We have 13K. We could have probably afforded a lot more of them. That naval hegemon with heavy ships. We currently have 16 heavies. Another one that's somehow got put into here. But if we wanted to push for heavy ships, we definitely could overtake Wu. We could afford it. Just a matter of doing it. Cultural influence, probably. I don't know what ours even is here. And in diplomatic rep, we have a pretty high one at 20. So we could definitely overtake everybody. In fact, our cultural influence would be the largest if we became a great power. We just got to cross that line. Which is where the difficulty comes in, because that's hard to do. So if we check our great power score, France is at 1200. We are behind them at 800. To cross into great power status, we have to overtake them or Egypt. And most of theirs comes from their population, which is at 24 million. We're at 5 million. And so how do we grow that? Well, we're annexing the Republic here. They have 300K. That'll put us at 7 million. I don't rightly think it's going to be easy for us to do that. The best option maybe would be taking stuff from the Maya and them down here, but we are so far away that we're only going to get probably like 20%, if that, of that population count. So even if we take all of this guy, 20% of 2 million is about 400,000, which I don't know if we really care about. I was hoping we'd have some way to get like migration, but I guess it's too early in the historical time for that to really happen. That's something you'd see in Vicky, is the migration to your land. So we're all just getting by on normal pop growth, I'm pretty sure. Uh, Hard to tell. So we have learned that our limiting factor here is going to be our population. We don't really have too many ways to affect those scales in the current iteration of EU5 here, and that's fine. We can still amass power and be kind of a shadow great power, if you will. Like, not actually have the status, but still have the claims here. The other thing we're sure about is, do we actually make 2K income right now? We do. Wow. That's an absurd amount of income. I guess we just spend all of that, right? Invest it back in. I'm looking at our queue here. We have a lot of workshops and things. Automated all of this. I guess we just build roads. Colonies are coming over here. We're going to let them do their thing. Kokia is our subject. They're Lutheranism. That's why they're pissed, because we converted them. Annexing Wapusk. And you're a subject, but you're a happy subject, right? No, you're a disloyal subject. Well, I would say I'd support you. Problem is, there's so much land here to march on. Getting anything to defend is going to be a pain in the ass without access to a ton of forts. We do have some border forts, but our coast is largely undefended, and that's the real pain in the butt here. All right, I think we've covered it. We're going to let the auto guy kind of take control here. I'm just want to experience the end years here. I don't have enough play time here to see if there's anything I really want to do. Like, if we were in over here, I could maybe wheel and deal and grow off of doing wars here. But we're so far apart, I can't really be bothered to do a war with this colonial nation, considering we actually have to fight Castile. If I did this, that would just suck. Absolutely be awful to do. So we're just not going to deal with that. We'll just play economic, play tall, and experience kind of the end game here in our massive queue of all of these. Also, it's good to see the in game situations. Like I never knew about the Little Ice Age, and now we do, and you can see we're actually getting affected by it. So I mean, this goes until 1715, so another 20 years of Little Ice Age, and I get to experience all of this, see how it's going to play out here. But yeah, we'll bring it back, I think, every 20 some odd years to check in and see how we've grown. Mainly want to keep an eye on our population and our great power score, see if we can start to creak into the top 10, maybe top 5, and see how things will work out here. But it's going to just be a matter of time. So we'll step away and bring you guys back once it's time for another update. All right, we're almost in the year 1715. It's taken me a long time to get to this, get past this year. The game is just running so slow in the late game, and that's to be expected, but we're getting towards the end of the Little Ice Age, and I'm hoping that we'll see an uptick in our population growth. Right now, we're getting no natural growth, at least across our nation in general. We're still getting some pop growth from like some separate locations. And Chesapeake seems to be losing people rapidly. Is that because there's not enough money here? What is going on with Chesapeake? Decided to try their luck as mercenaries. Yeah, a lot of people migrating into Chesapeake. But we've had one disease come through and wipe out about 120k pop from us, maybe a little bit more than that. But we've grown to 7.5 million. Still far, far, far under places like France with 40 million. Despite us having almost twice their locations, they have 670 locations and we have 1,054. You can see that our pop is just very hard to come by. That is the only thing holding us back. It's stopping our economic growth. We look and see here, there is so many places that need to employ pop. So our money is not very well spent on building out industry. There's really no reason to be building internally besides building roads at this point, since it's just that hard to come by here. So do we want mechanism of free trade? Honestly, I want to start going towards free trade. Free trade should be the way. Market attraction would be nice, and having just better trade efficiency will be useful. That being said, I think we'll probably do one more check-in. We're approaching soon the Age of Revolution. We'll check in for that, and then I think we're going to kind of blitz through and just see the stuff that happens during the Age of Revolution. This might be the last episode, because this late game here is not too hot. Like this chair here. Okay. Anyway, like I'm saying, like the late game here has not really been interesting for us, just because we don't have those subjects. I think I've talked about this a lot in the past episodes, but the decision to go to the New World ultimately has proven to be a mistake. We don't have a lot of the means that we would really appreciate, like the ability to build or get all the free towns you get from the events to give things to your colonists. I think we should have stayed and played the Scandinavia game, and that would have been a more advantageous way to go with Greenland. But still, we're going to have a very good result here. Maybe we can crack into the Great Powers list. You see, we need to get 500 Great Power score, which I guess we could maybe do from income. I don't know. If I turn off a lot of our buildings, we probably could get up there. We're paying 1,000 in building costs because I was trying to get things like bailiffs and cathedrals to try to get our literacy up and try to get our research. But I'm the more I play the game, the more I'm led to believe that you're really not supposed to research everything. It's Q. It just seems like too much. You have to be very decisive, which I don't know if I'm a fan of. I want to be able to get all the text. I think that's, I want to have the options to do everything in the game and not have to kind of build into one special thing. So I want to be able to blob. I want to be able to and do more things. But still early game. We can see how it develops as time goes on. But I'm noticing a lot of the shortcomings and limitations, I should say, of EU5 and its early release days, and that's fine. So, no longer be played by Extended Winter. This concludes Little Ice Age Simulation. Does that mean we are going to see an uptick in pop growth? these? Do we have any Greenland, like Icelandic? We do have Icelandic. These are. Oh. It's strange that we keep getting natives to lead us, considering the fact our culture is 99.64% uh, and 99.85% Lutheran Icelandic pop. So, uh, interesting how we keep ending up with these Tata ceremonial people and the like to lead our nation. But oh well. We also can't really build any military stuff because we don't have easy access to tin, and the automated trading is just not really providing us with tin. I guess I could force it if I really wanted to, but I can't be bothered to do the trade micro. It's so cumbersome. I think the automation just needs to be the way to go. The trade system is cool. It has more depth, but it's almost too complex, I feel. And the way the stuff changes is um too complex to really be microable unless you're really playing small, right? Because I've spent the last 200 years of this game letting it just run itself. And you can see our trade income keeps jumping by 1,200 ducats and going down because the automation's incorrect. So I think if the automation would made more smart decisions and had the ability to actually accurately predict your income, I'd see a lot of more utility in it. But in its current state, I couldn't be bothered to do it. Maybe for some select goods it would be smart, like 10 I'd said, to build an army. Really only build units. Let's say like we look at chambered cannon, our newest cannons. Only Orkney and Shetland, which is they're in this market here because they have 10. Apparently, there's no 10 in the New World, which I don't believe for the life of me that there's somewhere in the Americas continent has to have it. We also have not discovered a lot of the world. We can't do any more exploration, and we don't seem to have passive spread. You know, EU4, you'd expect by now you'd at least have vision of what's going on, like in most of the world by passive spread, but does not seem to be the case in EU5, which is fine, I guess. I do like the more people colonize. That might be a game setting, honestly. But I think it's overall cool here. You got Castilian colonies, you got French colonies, like you've got some cool things going on here. I just think the ability to play tall as a New World nation is really hampered by our pop. So that's not really a lot you can do about pop. You have to be. I think if I was a subject of like France, it'd be easier because then I could get stuff. Actually, it's only from your market, right? Your migration is from within your market. I just want to see migration attraction in the same market. Yeah, there's no like global migration. Migration. Usually only migrate within the same market unless they are migrating to a colonial charter or migrating due to an event. And so since this isn't a colonial charter, we can't get stuff from the old world. So you might be better off playing as a subject of one of these guys, which means we can't get stuff from Greenland, even though I guess they only have 1.8k. And they're disloyal, of course, because of course they are. Cookie makes sense. We enforced your culture. You I would love to see a breakdown on why this is happening. What is goes into the strength here? Is it just your great power score? Is that why you have such, you know, apparent strength? Because it can't be your army. 44k. We have 64k. I guess you do have a large standing army. I could invest more into this. Not your manpower. We greatly surpass you in manpower, and everyone else is small. I wouldn't think that would be enough. I don't know. Give me a calculation on why that looks the way it looks. Love to know. You can see we've lost 2.4 million. We'd be at 10 million pop right now if we didn't have the bubonic plague hit us a second time. And smallpox was the one we got recently. It was the smallpox epidemic. Unfortunate. Anyway, we're gonna let time pass. We'll come back, I think, to see what we get in the Age of Revolutions and see what the Age of Revolution events are. But I'll probably play through the rest of this game offline. We'll see how far we get. I don't know if I'm going to go all the way to the end date. I might do it just for the achievement. I think there's one of those. Let me see. Yeah, 1836. So maybe I'd do it just for the little bit of more patience achievement. You can't see it because I have it up in the Steam overlay, but we'll just let a lot of time pass. It's gonna probably take me like a day just play through the last 100 years of this because of how slow this goes on speed 5 even. So like speed 5, we're looking at 30 seconds to get through a month, right? And so 12 months, 30 seconds, that's 6 minutes a year times 100 year is 600 minutes. That's 10 hours. Ooh, okay. I know what I'm doing today. Whatever. We'll go ahead and call scenario, bring you guys back in 18 and or for the Age of Revolutions. We're just gonna let everything auto spew. I'm gonna honestly let's turn everything on automatic. We're just gonna let the last little bit here play out. You can subsidize, you can destroy, do your research, do your laws, do your reforms, do your cabinet, um, parliament to estates, let everything be automated here, and we're just going to see what happens if I let the country automatically run for the last 100 years. Actually, it'll be a cool test. So we're going to wait till 1837 and see. We'll come back to check in 1737. I think is when the new age. Yeah, 1738 is when we get our new age revolutions here. Check out all the stuff that comes in the age of revolutions, and for the rest of it, we're just going to let the automation see how well they can run a successful nation, right? We're going to leave it off here. Keep reminder on these numbers: 27K uh, ducats, 25K income, 7.5 million pop, good stability, decent prestige. We're being hampered by our lack of rivals, which is why we're not an empire. Um, Military is around 16K. We've already changed all of our control and things, so very interesting. We're going to go and do the control stuff, but let's see how the automation goes. Considering, let's do our balance too. You can automate everything. Fully automate my nation, fully automate this, fully automate that. We are going to just leave the game in the hands of the AI and see what they devise. If there's anything interesting going on, we'll showcase it. But for now, I'll step away and I'll bring you guys back once it's time for an update. Right. We are here about to enter 1737 in the age of the revolution. Is about to be upon us, and we'll see what the three different paths are: the military, diplomatic, and admin paths provide us there. I have no idea. Going in blind, I did look through the tech tree, and I think industrialization is probably the most important institution for us to get as we get called into a war that I'm not going to actually contribute to. Start off the new era with a revolt, with a war, and there's supposed to be, I think, some disaster, revolution disaster, normally that spawns here. I have no idea what the criteria around this is, but I've heard from the Reddit that it's pretty tough. So let's see. Age of Revolutions. This is the dawning of the Age of Revolutions. The questioning of rights, authority, and the world itself during the Enlightenment has led to the rejection of the ancient regime. As absolutism gives way to revolution, kingdoms may have to make place for republics. I've got this retainer in. So if I have a little bit of a lisp, I just got done with doing like 6 months of Invisalign. They give you this big, thick retainer you got to wear for a month. And so I feel like I have a little bit of a lisp. So apologies for that. I'll get better here probably by the next series since just the way things are out. But might be a little lispy. So let's see. Admin ideas. You have formal administration, cabinet seats, don't care. Not bad, because cabinet seats are your main vehicle of power, but we're really just having our cabinet seats do development right now. Optimism, monthly war exhaustion. I have not spec'd into war. I haven't built this nation around war. Fighting wars at this point are not worth the time it takes, 'cause we are not a war spec nation. We are an economy spec nation, and I think I'm fairly hampered where I can go now for the economy because of how we've done our colonization. Not having a global empire makes it a little bit tough to do uh, the economy side. Separatism doesn't matter. Smithian economics, this is pretty good. 5% is fine. So certainly we have, let's call it 2 out of 4 so far. 2 out of 5 because we don't care about army maintenance. It's money, but we don't have a large one. Building speed, okay, so 2 out of 6. Don't care about building speed. Legislative efficiency, I don't think this matters either. 2 out of 7. Proof relations, I could see it. Could be good. Let's call that 3 out of 8. Fortification maintenance, don't care at this point. 3 out of 9. And then minting threshold, it's all right. So 4 out of 10 of these are useful for admin. Don't think we're going to go admin. Merchant Marine. Sailors, not needed for us. Global Empires, tax efficiency, subject income, very good. That's 1 out of 2. Diplomatic capacity, we don't need it. It's a good modifier to have, but we don't have, we're not really been using a lot of our diplomatic capacity. So count that as a miss. So what is that? 1 out of 3. 4 score cost, not doing wars, 1 out of 4. That's a good modifier to have. Trade range, I don't think we've discovered enough to use all of our trade range, but I'll count it. So what's that? 2 out of 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah. Proximity cost with maritime presence, proximity cost through roads. This is a flat reduction. Very good. Very, very good. That helps us get our control up. And with railroads, this might get us damn near perfect control over a lot of our lands. That's pretty damn good. We'll count that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's 3, whatever. I've lost track of it. Loyalty of subjects, we'd like that. There's a modifier for loyalty that increased to minus 30. That will be very helpful. We get minus 30. Age of Revolutions, that counteracts it a little bit. And so pretty helpful. We can counteract our Age of Revolutions modifier here if we get the Postal Service and the loyalist recruitment here. So, pretty good. Morale recovery, I don't care. Trade maritime advantage, good. And Seahawks is Navy initiative. Feels like we're going to go diplomatic just because of what it does for us. Arm initiative, we don't care. Recruitment speed, don't care. Artillery power, don't care. Manpower, don't care. Yeah, all of this is not going to matter to us just because we are not going down a military path. We wanted to focus on the economy. Proximity cost through port -5, pretty decent. But I'd rather have the over the land with roads. So we're going to go diplomatic focus. Question I have is, where does these pop up in the tree here? That was Postal Service, which seems to be under Enlightenment. Okay. And I thought this left path sucked. And now it got more important because of this. This is a pretty good set. We would want that. We also really want to get the steel mills over here for railroad. Because railroad gives us a flat minus 35% proximity cost. So let's think about the calculation here, right? Province to province, your base is 40. This makes that base of -5. 4 modifiers kick in. Add in Postal Service. Then that -5 becomes a -3. Then you have your percentage modifiers. Let's get an example of a percentage modifier here. So over here, you look at our proximity. So this would be a base of 3. You'd then have plus 25%. That counteracts probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish. Then you have development. So you have maybe about a 20% reduction, let's call it, from that 3%, which doesn't really matter. But you can see we're now getting to like a 3 proximity cost loss, meaning this proximity to capital can probably reach about to here-ish, which will help us a lot. I don't think there's a way to get it to be perfect. That's what I've really been chasing. This game is trying to get down to like having everything with high proximity, just because proximity correlation to control would mean we'd get a lot more money. Like right here, like if we bump it up, that's 17% of all of this stuff that we're losing out, which just gives you more efficiency in your tax base. So I wanted to test the bounds of that, and we've seen where we're coming up across it. So what do we go from here? So we have industrialism and enlightenment. It's going to appear in Newton. Which is Lubeck. A couple of places to spawn in. And then Levy and Mass has a lot. So these are all going to spawn. Let's let these spawn. And let's see if we can get these involved. Now, how much do we have left in our advancement? We're getting through the high tier buildings here. Gonna probably need to cancel a lot of these. So we want to really focus on, yeah, we're not gonna get all of this stuff done. No way, no how, no chance. I've also been letting the army construction go, so we now have a lot of navy. Not a lot of army production, which is interesting. I see we've gone towards offensive again. Let's just double down on the offensive here. And our money, I wanted to spend. So I've been letting the AI do its management. There's a couple things we took off the AI. I took away their parliament and their laws because they were just passing stupid laws. Like for Navy, it decided to go and do free oarsmen. We don't need free oarsmen. That's just a waste of a law. So we went merchant navy instead to get that maritime advantage. So don't let it decide our laws. Don't let it do the parliament because it was kind of messing up my values here. Gonna sneeze 1 second. Sorry about that. But other than that, we've let them kind of run their own stuff. We also took off the management of the expenses because it was cutting down our diplomatic spending, which makes sense for money, but I want to keep my guys loyal as best I can. No idea how we've gotten all these. These are all, I think, all these exist in our subject area up here. These trade companies, and they have no land. So it's very interesting that these even exist. But I guess we'll just deal with it unless you have your own subjects. You have your rival. Okay. And then this annexation is still progressing. It's going to take forever to get done. We'll let that time pass. What I want to do before we go here is we're just going to spend all of our money on building roads. I don't feel like building economy is worth it now just because of our pop, right? We can't staff our buildings or our NGOs. So anything we build is just a waste of money. And I don't think we should do it. So instead we'll build roads because roads will actually give us some kind of influence here. We're just going to upgrade as many as we can. We've upgraded all of our roads. That took 200,000 gold. And then we're just gonna, apologies for the sound here. In fact, maybe I just spend my money and then we'll come back because, no, it's not that loud. There we go. But it's going to take a while. So let me just spend all this real quick and we'll cut back once it's done. We can look at how big the map is. All right. We've spent all of our money here. That when basically, at this point, we built the highway network, at least in the East Coast for what we control. And so you can see we have all the blue is what we're building. We're even building some of them like with people we have good opinion down here, which I wish it didn't do. Like, why am I building shit in Panama? Why is this an option? I know it gives us market access, but can I please tick a box to say only my nation? I don't see the point. Especially when we have no trade relation with some of these guys. But anyway, spend our money. Now our move here is we're just going to kind of be AFKing and amassing money again. Next big thing for me is going to be getting steel mills and railroads. Let's just kind of go over the tree here that we care about. So steel mill and railroads are really good, right? Proximity makes you just more efficient. There's some company stuff, trade company stuff, but I think we're kind of at the excess of what we can do without going to war and taking more land, which I've already said that I don't want to do at this point. This nation's not built around that. We want to play tall and see about if it's a viable colonial strategy with such a poor nation. We've seen kind of the limitations there already, I'll say. That being said, tax efficiency is good. Clearinghouse, giving you market traction is pretty decent. This one will make roads cheaper. If we had more uses for our money, I'd say this would be very important. We don't, and it doesn't impact railroads. So we've just built, I think, all the roads that aren't railroads that we're going to want to build. So we don't care about basic roads. Accessor, very, very good. Gets you crown power and maximum tax. We want to build that. Absolutely something we don't really care about, but crown power, good. Maximum tax, very good. Countrywide, we like that. Rights to the commoners. I haven't actually looked at this. What does this have? So you have strength from the commoners. Probably will do this one. Definitely will do this one. Curtail the commoners. RGO size, I could maybe see. I think we'll strengthen them, though. Just because of pop, we can't even work all of our RGOs as they stand, so having better satisfaction and taxes could be useful. Could be useful. Migration attraction could be very nice, but we need the pop growth natively. Because we saw already how migration attraction doesn't reach outside of your market. Left side here, this is basically all of your highest in-game production stuff, printing, iron, paper, you name it, it's over here. So that's also very important. We'll probably hit that up. And then other than that, over here you have the Enlightenment items. So left side of the Enlightenment is mostly Navy, your next naval stuff, post services, which we already want to kind of get to. Global Empire, we also want to grab for that subject income. More ship stuff. And then over here, you have like research speed, production efficiency. I'm curious about how, like, is it worth to go down and grab this? Like, I'm sure you get a bonus, but does it justify picking up the things you don't care about? Actually, everything that is on the way to this is actually pretty good. You know, like a new law, government reform, efficiency in our cabinet seats. Yeah, everything there is nice to pick up. Plus literacy could be good. Integration, construction speed, coal output, production efficiency good, crown power good, new artists is good, max literacy very good as well. Power projection, ships could be very important if you were doing wars. We're not, so very nice. And of course, you have the military stuff over here, which is all just mostly like tactics, morale. Ignore zone of control is interesting, so that like makes forts kind of, well, not useless because you still have to siege, if you want that province, but it really makes you need to have defense in depth. So forts on top of forts on top of forts. You can't just have a thin line of forts like, say, the Maginot Line, because they'll just go around. Duh. Um, wild fur and stuff, output, cool. Amount of capacity, trade range, sailors, all fine. Siegeability, all fine. Pop conversion, yeah, nothing here that we really want to force down the line here. March to the sound of the guns. Oh, it's you like fast moving. Interesting. Flying battery. So barring something crazy like with a disaster, I think we can just kind of ignore the military side. We'll focus first on getting railroads. If we have enlightenment first, we'll probably come down, pick up the postal services over here, pick up this one here for global empire. And then if time permits, we come down and get the research and the literacy and other things. But as soon as we get enlightenment, we want to hit railroads and then start getting through our late game economy. Now, I said I didn't want to do too much economy, but that does not count building upgrades. Our problem here is that we can't really work a lot of our buildings, or we're reaching our capacity on our building limits. Like over here, you can see we're at 47 out of 55, and we need 30,000 to get them employed. But if we upgrade the buildings, I imagine they'd be more efficient production methods. You'd get more return. So you'd, same building space, maybe more workers. So I don't know if it's a little bit of a trade-off there. But I think it's a good thing to do, at least, especially with our gold income being plus 2,000. So we'll work on that. Definitely not going to become a great power. We may cross the 1,000 mark, but this is just getting further and further. And I'm looking at the number one great power, which is Wu. And it's just pop. That's the only factor here that's dividing us. Like they have army size, sure they have base tax, but it all comes back to population. And so we're kind of going to be hard capped on our pop growth, and can't get around that besides taking land. I guess you could take land and then evict the pop to your own land and then give the land back, but you have to fight a war for it. So, pop problems. That's what it comes down to. But we've covered that. I don't need to rattle on about it. We're going to let time pass here. I think I don't even know when I want to commit to doing a jump cut. I'm going to let time pass. So it's probably going to all be offline. I'll come back if to showcase the disaster. I think if that comes up, I haven't seen it. So we'll see if there's any like unique era events. Like we had the little ice age, which was really impactful for all of that last age of, was it reformations or was absolutism? All the little ice age there actually was very impactful. And you had the Columbia Exchange. Other than that, there's not really much to see. We'll kind of let the AI keep running and stuff. I'll slowly build up some things when I see there's a need to. And we'll just see, we'll do some ridiculous stuff with the amount of money we have, just to see the limits of playing tall. So that's what we'll do. We'll probably check in for any of those. Otherwise, if none of that stuff I think is interesting when it comes up, we'll check back in. Probably maybe in 50 years. It's going to take so long to get through 100 years. I've been I started recording this at like 1 p.m. It's now 5 p.m. And I progressed maybe 40 years in that time. So I don't even know if it was 40 years, might be less. I don't remember when this started, but it's going to be a lot of AFK, a lot of me doing stuff on my second monitor and saying, oh, let's click away this event, click away this event. Late game of this is very slow if you're not actively doing a ton. You can't get through that time fast. But I want the damn achievement for playing all the way through. I never did that in the other EU4 game or like CK3 even. So we'll get through the time and we'll bring you guys back if there's any updates. So see you then. All right, we are back here in 1834. We've basically gone through the entire Age of Revolution. 2 years before game end. It's a whole new day for me. It's been taking a long time to get through here. I've saved up almost 1,000,000 coin. I've spent well over 1,000,000 at this point. I thought I want to take some time to look at where the world has ended and kind of wrap up my thoughts. It's the first game that we've kind of played all the way through. So first and foremost, here we'll pause just to look around and take these. Nothing's going to really change in the last year. I think the largest standout for me is just the sheer importance of population when it comes to how well your country does. I've been thinking about it a lot here. We are finishing with the base tax. This will probably cross, what is that, 10,000? 40% tax efficiency, a lot of income. We're projected to make like 14K, but we dropped down to half that because trade income is such a disparity, even though it accounts for such a large amount of our income. In fact, actually, it has been surpassed by commoners. We've been building up our base tax instead of our trade, which is good. Market-wise, we'll kind of just scroll through here. You can see Pensacola down here is a huge market, larger than I think Chesapeake even is. I wish this was sorted in some kind of way so I could just tell. Am I blind? I see Kentucky for 400. Chesapeake with 800. So Pensacola is our better one. I think it's because there's more cities here. And honestly, some of these northern markets are a little bit more... Couldn't really tell you here. What do they produce? I guess we just produce a lot of paper that you can export. I don't know. We'll look at that in more detail. A big takeaway for me here in the market thing, I would love a way for me to be able to build towns or cities through a menu. Right? You have this create market stuff. You can look at that. You have trading, you have balance. You have your building production stuff, but you don't really have a way to go and say, I want to upgrade and build towns. You can sort your provinces here by like population and go and identify that. But I would love to be able to just, one click here and say I want to upgrade these places. Like, for instance, over here, some of these probably should be upgraded to towns or cities. Like this one is can't become a city. But anyway, population, right? It's the most important factor, I think, in our game. We got here with 14 million pop, and that is spread off across 1,100 locations. So we are a massive geographical nation, but our pop really isn't that good. 14 million, compare that to France, who's our kind of competitor here, or European competitor. They have 63 million pop in, let's call it half. I know it's a little bit more than half that number of cities, and they're at twice our production, right? They have their largest place, giving them 400 base tax in Saint Jerome de la Pouve with 96K population. Compare that to us. Our largest base tax is Nantucket here. And Nantucket's only got 36K. In fact, I should probably upgrade you to a city here now that Nantucket's grown. Which just shows you the importance of having that large pop. And even in Nantucket, we can't employ everybody. We're sitting here with a deficit of 5K workers. We're sitting here in Chesapeake, I think is insane. 62K workers. This is the auto construction. It's not my own. I haven't been doing this. The auto build is just prioritizing places where they can't build workers. But you can see, imagine if we had the population to actually employ all of our funds here. We'd probably be huge, but we just don't have that, and there's not really a lot of means to get that up if you're a colonial nation who's not a subject under somebody. So it's very interesting to see how important that is, and there's no way to get foreign migration, even though I have a bunch of workers available. It's not like Vicky in that way where you can get targeted by a mass migration. So an interesting little takeaway there on the importance of migration. Another kind of finding for me, with your estates here and your subjects, they do, in fact, this is probably something people already know, they do, in fact, take into consideration how up to date your units are when calculating your relative strength. So when I was going through my techs here, I neglected to do the army techs until the Age of Revolution, and I was getting a minus 30% malice on Denmark for their strength, even though I had more levies. And it's because their regulars were better than mine, that they actually had. Oh, it was a successionist. Okay. But it's because of that that they ended up being disloyal. So take away from that, I didn't realize. The other thing is for spread here. There is no more passive spread unless it's from your own religion. So I know for a fact that Castile knows a lot of the world. We do not know everything that Castile knows. We just have some bits and pieces that have spread from the other Protestants. So interesting there. If you want to learn a lot about the world, you need to be in a majority religion. The disaster for the spear, by the way, is the Colonial Revolution. You can see all of the republics have kind of broken free. No, you're now free from Castile. So, really, this is all about the colonies breaking free. And you can see Castile has been embroiled in nonstop wars. They're kind of coming out on top of it, but they have a lot of disloyalty between the various people. And the minus 30% here is probably a factor in that. So, you can see base tax wise, right? 16K for Castile when they have 2.6 million. So I think per capita, I wish I could see the measure here. We're doing pretty damn good on our base tax, but we just don't have the pop, and that's fine. The other thing is that the sheer time spent to get through this game, it's been hours and hours of just watching this all tick by. Let's look at our railroad network since we have it here. Everything in white here is being has a railroad, and I don't like how it's built it all over here too before building it in my own land. I wish I could tick a box to have the auto builder go and do other stuff here. What do you mean I can't build railroads? I have, oh, it's because everything that's been built by here is now already upgraded. So the upgraded railroads will upgrade everybody else before doing my own. Interesting. Interesting. What are all some more takeaways? Well, really, there's no reason to do an expat nation. I say this because the events, and we've talked about this before, the events for completing a colony as an overlord give you a free town. And I feel like that's so immensely strong, since the town requirements for population are immense. And for 400 gold, 500 gold a town, early game, that feels like a snowball to me where you could just have a lot of towns by that. So no real reason to do an expat strategy unless you have to, in my opinion. I think our big mistake here was deciding to go full on into the new world. If we stayed and played a Scandinavian Greenland, I think we could have done better. Do I think we would be able to surpass the great powers? Maybe. It's hard to say because we would have had some migration from the colonies back to our land, giving us more population. It all comes down to pop. We would have had a ton of money. Look at Greenland, for example, right? They have, or Denmark, they've got only 2 million pops in 2000. We would probably be doing better than them for sure. And we could have focused on like making Scandinavia. So in hindsight, that's the better move here. I thought maybe we'd have like a formable nation and some more flavor stuff. We did not, and that's fine. So don't think this is the way to go if you want to build a great nation. I think pop is going to be the key to everything. We were never able to become an empire, and that's because we have no valid rivals. I think the system where your capital needs to be close to your rival's capital is ridiculous. I can't rival any of the European nations. I can't rival any of these guys because I'm so much stronger than them. I am stuck with no possible rivals, right? Let me double check that that's still the case here. Yeah, I have no possible rivals. We have the Grand Republic, who is one, but I can't choose literally anybody else. I can't even choose you. No, we already have you. I can't do any rivals because the capitals aren't close enough, meaning I get stuck with a permanent minus 20. Like this is minus 20 prestige from our resting rate. And so we can't get our prestige. Like our resting rate would be at 47. Not amazing, but better than where we'd be at. So it's very hard to get prestige in this game. It's damn near impossible if you don't have valid rivals. And the system, I think, needs a rework for that. The other thing is I feel like there's not enough to really make your play style unique. The only thing that really like replaces, 'cause in EU4 you had ideas, and you don't have ideas in this. You have the, age, you get your three options: Diplo, admin, and military whenever you go and start an age. And I really don't like it. I don't think it doesn't feel impactful the way ideas were in EU4, right? Where you get your first idea in like 1450 and you can really kind of make your nation unique and get an advantage over your other nations based off of going like an early military idea or going innovative. It just doesn't feel as impactful. Um, and you can't really get ahead of time in this. Like we've gotten here to the end of the game, focused really good on our literacy. We're at 80%, 86% average literacy. That's crazy high. And we're sitting here, still have 30 full advances in age revolution. Absolution, we got barely anything done. We only got half of those done. Um, you can't get all techs, which I guess is fun. I guess the techs are the way you differentiate yourself. But, in hindsight, I guess I should have picked some techs and gone and streamlined the right ones. As opposed to even you might even want to like take an age and just skip out on doing artillery or like not prioritizing those and getting all the other stuff. Like I guess especially if you're doing like an Ottomans game, you probably don't need New World, but stuff like that just seems it's not. I'm not a fan of it. I have to say, I want to be able to get all the text. I want to get everything done. It's like it's same with blobbing. I want to be able to blob, but I have to get used to the game not respecting that. Proximity cost, you can't get perfect proximity, you can't get perfect control, and the perfectionist in me hates that. I would love to be able to get full control, um, but it is what it is, and you can still do fine. But we'll have to get used to the new state of not being a blobbing game, which is fine. It's just different. Overall, I think the AI auto build stuff. I think the balance one sucks. Balance for me, never use my diplomatic spending, and they would just let my subjects get pissed off. Not a fan. The building spend, I feel like they could. I don't know. I wish I could automate more than just the building. I wish I could automate roads. I wish I could automate the building of cities. I want more options to automate the late game, and more customization. I don't know. I feel like the fact that we have over here 846K amassed, and I could definitely find ways to spend that money if I so tried. It just seems like we've lost kind of the purpose of the money. Like it's nothing for me. And the events we get are crazy. There's like some events where it's like 5 prestige for 24,000 gold, and I'm like, yep, deal. Sure, I'll just pay a nation's worth of money for nothing here. Haven't really seen the destroyed buildings. I probably should have turned that off. I haven't been paying attention. It doesn't tell me, but haven't seen that been an impact. Research RGOs, yeah. Laws, I think don't ever automate your laws. It's terrible. I didn't let it automate government reform because I assumed it'd be bad, just like laws. Cabinet, I think is fine. Parliament, don't let it do. Estates, they normally tend to take away more estate stuff. Like we look at our states over here. We've removed a lot from the burgers, and I don't necessarily like that. They took away some of the good ones. Like they took away the one that develops your cities here. It's urban development grants, which I think over the course of the years is a pretty damn good thing. This basically means every 100 years or months, right? Is that what I'm right? So after 10 months, you get one, 100, something like that. I don't know the exact math here. That's giving you 1,000 actually. So it'd be every 1,000 months, which is probably 80 something years. You get a free development, which is good across a large nation like this. I think you should always have this on. It just helps, and innovative progress is good. So they tend to over prioritize taking that stuff away, in my opinion. Culture acceptance, sorry, religious doctrines. Let's see what we ended up with the religion. We ended up with mostly our culture. Did not purge the English the way I would have as a player. That's fine. Religion, we are at 99.96. And they swapped out all of our aspects. Max literacy, I think I kept that one. More clergy tax. I don't know if that's a good one. And then peasant satisfaction. Yeah, not good because we don't even use our full pastor tax. Satisfaction's fine. We were already so high up, it doesn't matter. think there'd be much better ones to swap to, but we it won't tell us. Yeah, what they have. We don't have enough stuff. So not the best at doing that. Exploration colonies, I think, do a pretty good job. Navy construction, they were building. I had to turn it off because they built so many navies. Like we were, and they just kept building them. It was crazy. Also, it's hard to build navies over here in the New World because there's no tin in the New World, I realized. So another point to not go and do an expat game because you don't have access to tin, which is a shame. So we'll get through this year. I think we end up in a really good spot. If let's compare ourselves to the great powers, I guess we should do that before we rest too far here. So I wanted to hit the great power. We don't get into the top 10. We get a lot of great power score here. But I think we've fallen a little bit behind. Maybe if I had more trade capacity and things like that, maybe if I became an empire, we would have gotten there. But I dialed back the aggression. I didn't do too much wars, and we've already covered that. I think the turning point was leaving to the New World. That being said, as far as income tax, so the score to beat is 17K monthly trade. Our income would put us above Castile for sure. We would be right now at 14K. And that's before our number jumps up, right? Let's watch that 14K change. It goes to 18. So I think it only calculates every month. So 14K would put us at the third rank, great power, right? Income and trade tax. And it's also very interesting to me that this is dominated by Asian countries, right? That population value is really coming into strong here. This is Japan. This is, I believe, the Mongolians. Yeah, with your 111 million pop. So look at that. It becomes pop numbers. You have Delhi, of course, India, 63 million pop. France, they are comparable to Delhi, which is why they're around the same area. But Delhi's bigger. You have the Sultan of Egypt, who I guess just has existed. And then you have Castile. I guess we had a collapse. Yeah, the Timur Empire took all of China. That's why they've eliminated, because we used to have the Kingdom of Wu there. But it's interesting. You would never see that in EU4. You'd see maybe Ming, but to see that many great powers that aren't European is interesting to me. Maritime, 240 or something heavy ships. We could have done that if we built them. We already have a good number of them. I just turned it off because I didn't care, and I saw we weren't going to become a great power. So it is a shame. Military hegemon, army of. See, we would surpass them. Our regulars here, we have, I think, like right around 100 and something. I didn't build any naturally. We have 140K, and we could have easily increased that, of course. So, and in Diplo Rep, we have 16, so we'd be, above France. It's just we don't count in any of these rankings because of things. What is our culture? Largest one is 8,000. Our culture here is going to be 4,700. All right, so not the top, but you can see we're comparable to them in across all metrics. We just don't get to be in the race because we're not a high enough score, which is a shame. And to become a score, we need another 700 points. And how do you get your power? Let's see. Like, how do we compare to you with your country's score? Let's look at countries by score. So we are behind Bohemia. The Timur Empire has 2,900 from population score. Compare that to us. 500. So they have basically double our score guaranteed. Their population score alone puts them into second place. Yeah, that's pretty damn strong, I'd say. So play as an Asian country, you become a great power by default. So if you want to play tall, play in Asia. Then they have their monthly income, 800. Yeah, they have base trade capacity. And then, yeah, it all circles back to your population size. And they, of course, are doing all of that. Let's keep that in mind. They are doing that as 600 locations. So they are smaller than Paris, half our size. They're comparable to what? What's a good European comparison? Hungary? Russia? Scandinavia. They don't really have a good comparison here for what 600 looks like. But it's just the pop you have. So that's what we can see here. Let's go and get through this just so we can get the achievement. We have one more year left. I think overall, I'm very happy with how this turned out. If I could do it again, we've covered what we would do differently. Where do we go from here? Well, I think there's some things I'm really interested. I want to do a one city challenge where you play as one nation. I have a couple ideas for what to do that. I think that will be coming up. Maybe I might take a break. I have to edit this, and I got to get back to our England campaign. I took a break from playing the England campaign through to play all this because I learned a lot by doing the Greenland campaign, and so now we've got to come back and put that into our old Let's Play. Probably won't do a lot of these games that go all the way to 1836. I think that I would love to see the time spent here. Would be quite an interesting metric. But, oh well. Definitely the new... Like, if you really get into the micro game. Like, could you do a world conquest in this game? I don't think so. Now I'm not abusing things. Just the way integrations work, I think it would be very hard to do a world conquest. You probably could. It's also the fact that your cost of court. Like there's two big, for me, big pivot moments that where we could have changed the course of our game and done a lot better. One is staying in Europe. We've already covered that. The second one is there was a point in time when I first started colonizing that I dialed back my colonization and said, okay, I have enough. Let's build tall. I think that was a mistake. The reason we did that was because our cost of court and things were ballooning up faster than my income was based off our tax base. And so I was concerned about running out of money. And instead, what I should have done is just held down, ramped it up, and just colonized as much as possible and let it catch up and just eat the loss at that time. And in hindsight, I could have then taken the next 200, 300 years to build up my nation. So I should have gone for the land grab first. That would probably be good. We could have gone full to the west here. The other option is I stopped doing wars because fighting wars has become a pain. Just with not... We had enough. We could have grown. If I fought for wars and got more land, I think that would have been good. Maybe there's even like a way you could play this where you're a small nation and you have, like the Ottomans have a thing where they take slaves from conquered lands. You could just grow really tall that way through slavery, which sounds awful and is awful, but could be an interesting run. Doing like a pirate nation with enslavement. But we'll see. Just tossing some ideas out. It's been good to play through the different eras. I think I'm interested to see what this is like as an actual colonial nation. I feel like you're really going to have small colonies to avoid, because Castile has been in constant war. I don't think they've ever been at peace in this era. And you can see their regulars are depleted down to 100 here. They've been absolutely demolished by all of these. What are your reforms do you take? Naval service. Okay. But other than that, I think another thing I found that's very important. You should definitely build construction sectors. Like, not sectors. What is it called? Construction centers. You need these. I've looked at the backlog for things to build here. I queued up a while ago Chesapeake to become a city. And it still has not been granted because there's just such a backlog of construction. So build your construction centers. I thought it would be a waste of city space. It is not. You want those because once you start to unlock new buildings, the backlog of construction just keeps growing. So it's not as big of an issue when you first start building your stuff. But once it's time for you to go back and upgrade, you're going to want to have those. So I think those are very important. All right, here we go. We're coming to the end of December here. That'll tell us all our stats. I think we've grown from what? We had 1,000 pop. We now have 14 million. I'm happy with that. I don't think it'll get any better. Is this one more year? Or are we done now? 1836. Is it done? When does the game end? December of this year. Okay. Well, let's do apartment. Support the damn state. Let's do new marketplace. Hello? There we go. The thing is, the game runs like butter. Very, very slow. And part of that's because of recording, but also just the laking of this is so much longer. It's because of the fact you're adding an hour's time, and so instead of ticking on the day, you now tick on every hour. which makes it take a lot longer. You wouldn't think about it, but it just does. It feels like a marathon to play a game through this all the way through. And not sure I feel about it. I think it's going to be rare we're going to have campaigns go this deep, unless it's like a really challenging one. But so far, I've been also picking up some achievements. What else? What achievements did we do here? Oh, just like easy ones. There's like one for inviting an artist I never did, so we grabbed that. But no, honestly, I think we need more flavor. We need the missions. More unique missions. I love that from you for having the missions to go and like do alt history stuff. I feel like we just don't have that. Like all this expat stuff. Like we got here to the new world, formed our nation, and there was no payoff. There's no like, form America, form the United States, form this nation. Let me click buttons, you know? So it's not enough. I want that tactile feedback. Sport for outward. That is you going to war with who? With the natives. Okay. Finally got back to having an Icelandic guy in charge. Go us. I think we have a lot of native people here still, too. Which is strange. Cahokia we can never annex. Yeah, they won't join our vassal status because of their base tax. What is your base tax? 300? 300's too much. Damn, you really can't vassal expand. Shouldn't this be like a relative value? Like if you have 300 base tax and I have 30,000, relative power I should be much more strong than you, and you should still be willing to accept, in my opinion. I could see the counter argument of after a certain size, you really wouldn't want to give up your liberty. But, you know, let me bluff. This spawned in Shenyang, this spawned in... Also, I can't spawn institutions outside of, I guess, Shenyang. Why did this spawn here? I can't go back and look at the criteria. Whatever. Whatever. All right, October. November. I thought it was going to go much faster than this. November. December. Also, this just feels like we should have... Like, where's the... We'll accept. Yeah. Thank you. Let's get some from Scandinavia. I feel like this disease map mode doesn't really do much for you. Like, this makes me think we had typhus here. We don't. We should have something like this for building towns, in my opinion. All right, so how do we finish? We finished with our score of 8. What? Oh, we're first in diplomacy. Interesting. 6th in admin, 19th in military. Putting us at Christian, the 2nd of Denmark, which is, I guess, fine. Worse than Hiawatha and Pachacuti. William of Orange, Muslim, Tokugawa, Timur, Elizabeth I. That's fine. I think, you know, we know why. We know where we went wrong. We know how we could do better. But overall, I think, you know, let's look around at the map and see how the world shook out here. So you got, this is the Great Yuan, and Great Yuan still exists. Yeah, that's a mess, because you have the Aki Empire here. Goryeo took over some of Japan. Majapahit. So where is the Delhi Empire? Ah, that would make sense. That's 500 locations. It must be much bigger then. Yeah, you can see the size. Okay. Let's check and see. I want to see the highest... Oh god, it's going to crash my damn game. Show me the highest population. Paris has 700. Yeah, there's just no way. They have in this one place more than my entire capital province and several other things. With a total of 250 staff buildings. Wow. Okay. That makes me really want to do a one city thing. If you can have one city have 700 K-pop, are you at the limit too? No, you could have gone up to 1.17 million. Okay. We'll keep that in mind. Anyways, I'm over time. I think we've talked enough about how we that was ow. Yeah, I'm over time. I think we've talked enough about how we could have improved kind of our takeaways here. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is maybe this will be the first one that we edit together and do a montage. I had other projects I wanted to do this with, but you know, it's hard to find time with work and a girlfriend and trying to stay in health and do all that stuff. So maybe I'll get around to editing this one together into a short or a more compact video, compressing the what I think we're at 9, 10 episodes, somewhere around there across the 400 years. So maybe that's the first one. If it is, let me know what you think. Even if it's not that, let me know what you guys think about the series. Let me know what you think about EU5. If you have ideas about nations to play, if you have feedback, I've not played through the England campaign, but I can already see from that one a lot of people are giving me feedback on how to be better at the game, which I appreciate. I will say, with the way I pre-record these, I end up learning a lot off camera. So sometimes, um, there's going to be that gap between what I record and what you see. So it's not that I'm ignoring you. I promise I'm not. It's just that there's a backlog of stuff to record because I got to make allowances for work and things. So I normally binge this game in spurts and then edit those spurts together and put it out. So that's kind of my style. I think I've waffled enough here, so let you guys go. I hope you enjoyed. I've been Sean Spoo Screener as always. I'll catch you in the next one. Later.